G'day WAFL fans, welcome to this Around the WAFL bonus. Paul Persic alongside Mark Readings and Skeet. We're here to count down the top 10 moments of season 2024. It's nearly coming to a close, but what a season it has been.
Yeah, you've done well to put together 10 moments in an order which hopefully our listeners and viewers agree with, but there is a lot to choose from, going back from personal milestones to team thrillers to, I guess, events that made the WAFL a pretty special year.
And it was a big year for the WAFL. You know, the crowds were up, the intensity was up as well. The final five wasn't decided until the last game of round 21, and the finals action keeps getting exciting as well with the big crowds in full force.
Absolutely. Look, I think the standout final came in Mandurah in the first semi-final with Peel Thunder getting up off the canvas to beat Claremont. The Tigers a little unlucky. East Perth, of course, have had their issues with injuries to one of their star players. But yeah, it's been an amazing year.
Here's number 10, and the best place to start is at the start, Thursday night in Joondalup. And I reckon it was a good sign from the beginning of the year and the beginning of this game that this season was going to be a close one.
Absolutely. Easter Thursday, some really good goals kicked, good crowd in attendance. And you just wait for the little wizard to bob up late in the game. But a tight game, from memory, I'm only just going from what I recall on the night, is Claremont had a pretty handy lead in the last quarter, but
4 goals.
Falcons just refused to go away.
And then Keegan not kicking the winner and literally body slammed by Corey Rundle. And the scenes over there in Joondalup on the final siren as well, the kids running onto the ground. That's a special moment right there when the kids are out on the ground getting the autographs from the players. It was absolutely astounding. Number 9 is the John Todd Memorial Game, a very emotional lead-up, having lost John Todd, and then the game really lived up to the billing between the two sides that Toddy has had the longest association with.
Absolutely. Swans and South Fremantle are synonymous with what John did as a player at the Bulldogs, obviously, and then going to his coaching career at Swans, which had such wonderful success. And yeah, Swan Districts, in essence, had quite a few of those emotional matches they had to get themselves up for, and that was another case in point.
And in front of 4,000 over there, they turned out in force despite the chilly conditions. What was your impressions, from a personal point of view, of John Todd chatting with John and interviewing him over the years?
Yeah, he's a terrific character, wasn't he? And look, a hard-nosed coach, but got to know him a bit during my travels. And really good to sit down and have a chat with him. And he was often asking me about how Perth's going to become a power again. And we still didn't come up with the answer. We still don't. But he was terrific to deal with.
Fantastic. He's certainly going to be missed. This is number 8. What about the composure of that man, Blair Bell?
Yeah, well, he admitted after the game that if the Thunder had lost that game, that was him done and dusted. We know this week is the end of the road for him, and he may well go out with a flag. But that was a remarkable performance, and they win a thriller. Claremont, how did they lose it? Inaccuracy in front of goal probably is the main reason.
6-12, of course, not really a good score when it comes to finals football, but Peel getting it done. Number 7 is a final fling for a Subiaco legend. Ben Sokol in his final game on the last game of the season, kicking 3 goals. He was really one of the cornerstones of that dominant era for Subiaco, and it was good to see him, getting in the goals once again.
Absolutely, but you should also not forget the other 2 retirees, yes. Angus Dewar and, of course, Lee Kitchen. So 3 absolute stalwarts of the Lions and the WAFL, and Ben Sokol, a goal kicker of great note. And they will be sadly missed at Subiaco, but they've certainly deserved to put their feet up.
Absolutely, after great, long and distinguished careers. And Sokol, even, in his last game, was still taking those courageous marks, putting his body on the line. He was, along with Dewar and Kitchen, he was willing to, take the risk and play the game for his teammates. He was a real team player like the other 2.
And just there, Lee Kitchen, a little give to his teammate in Ben Sokol, and they knew that was just about the end of the road for them, and it was a really nice moment, albeit they lost the game.
Absolutely. Number 6, we go to Northam for our next stop in the WAFL tour. What was it like over there amongst the 4,000?
Yeah, it was terrific. We were sitting in a sort of a caravan-type truck to call the game for 7. Perth had their chances. The West Coast Eagles through Jai Cully and, of course, Clay Hall were terrific, and the West Coast Eagles prevailing. But a terrific atmosphere taking footy to the regions, and as you said, the numbers were terrific for that match.
Should there be more regional games next season, do you think?
I think at face value, yes. Obviously, you need funding, you need all the right parameters in place, but it's fantastic to see those types of matches continually be put on the front of the WAFL calendar.
Great game it was, and certainly this one as well. Number 5, what about this from Darcy Craven of East Perth?
And that launched himself into contention for the mark of the year, but also, more importantly from his personal perspective, into a mid-season draft position now. He's up at the Brisbane Lions, so let's hope Darcy gets a look in 2025.
He had a couple of games in the VFL late in the season as well, as recent as a preliminary final, and it's sealed with a goal by Angus Schumacher, one of East Perth's best. But that mark is certainly one of the contenders for the Mark of the Year, which will be revealed on Grand Final Day this coming Sunday at Optus Stadium. But what about this moment that's coming up as well? This one was a real sizzler as well. That was number 5, the Darcy Craven mark. Number 4 is this. Jackson McDonald, coming up in just a moment, sinking the Swans over at Bassendean. Now, this was the goal from Bryn Teakleskeet to put them 5 points down, and it was only 3 minutes to go. We were still thinking at the time that the Swans may just escape, but no one told that to Jackson McDonald.
Exactly. There's a real McDonald theme here because Jackson McDonald takes the mark, then he goes back in front of the McDonald stand, who, of course, were giving him some advice on where this should go. And Darren McDonald was the commentator who, let's be honest, he gave it everything he had, and I was concerned for his health at about this point of the afternoon.
I think it may have sounded like he did a night of karaoke the night before, or maybe yours truly after eating a 7-layer burrito. I don't know. That's a mystery that only he can solve. But what a moment that was, and another sign that it would be something else. Number 3, Tony Knott, chaired off after his 300th game. That's scenes we're never going to see in the WAFL again.
Yeah, good point. And I think he might continue in 2025. I think 312 games next to his name as we speak. He's still playing good enough footy. Of course, he travels, but that's a lovely moment. A big year for Tony Knott. More meaty than he's had since when he was drafted to the Eagles.
Absolutely. And, of course, overtaking the great Billy Walker later in the season at 306 games. Number 2, just how darn close was round 3. All the 5 games decided by less than 4 goals and a cumulative margin of less than 45.
Yeah, these are good times for the WAFL when you've got matches like this and you want to go to the footy not knowing which team is going to win. Yeah, if it's going to be a result, you hope it's tight, certainly from a neutral perspective, but that's been a highlight of this year. So many tight matches involving most of the teams this year.
Peel Thunder, of course, in that first one getting up by 16, and West Perth, their inaccuracy, biting him in the bum again, this time against Subiaco. West Perth, that was a summary of their season, wasn't it? They had chances, but they just couldn't convert.
Oh, it's the old story. If you're inaccurate in front of goal, we saw that with Claremont in the first semi-final. We see it in big matches. If you can't convert, you end up paying the price. And on that occasion, Subiaco able to get home in an absolute thriller. But the accuracy or lack of it from Claremont was costly.
Absolutely. This one you were speaking of, 1 goal 8 in the last quarter. 1 goal 8 doesn't win your games of football. And you and the 7 crew were there. And the Bulldogs, dare I say it, they were counting their lucky stars that night.
No question. And again, Claremont, just something they'll need to tidy up next year, just their efficiency going forward, maybe looking for a key forward in the off-season. South Fremantle hung on there, but as we know, Claremont displaced them in terms of a top 5 position at the end of the home and away season.
Speaking of close games, your Demons just got up against Swan Districts despite a late goal there by Nathan Blakely with seconds to go, and it was another one of the day-night matches over at Lathlane. So the Demons, at the time, that was their second win of the season, and many were saying, okay, this might be a little spring in the step for the Demons early on.
Yeah, had some nice moments. Perth beating Subiaco in round 1, which was a rarity, beating West Perth at home for the first time in about 20 years. But early in the season, the players were certainly gasping.
This was the biggest shock in round 3. Who would have thought after 600 days the Eagles would win again against the reigning premiers, no less?
Absolutely. I guess it shows you where the Eagles are with the lack of success as to where Peel are as an alignment club and what West Coast needs moving forward in terms of player personnel and perhaps we can see some more of this next year because the competition is better when teams like the Eagles, like Perth, the teams that have been down the bottom can win and win regularly.
Absolutely, and we saw that with Swan Districts as well, a team that was at the bottom end of the ladder for a couple of years and then back in the top 5. And if the Eagles can get a couple more wins on the board, get some more balance, because they are going to get some more concessions from the Commission, that'll be a big difference to make the competition even closer in 2025. But that moment right there was a big sign. But the number 1 moment of 2024, it's all about the fans. I mean, the People's Derby on WA Day Monday, what was it like with the 7,000 over at Fremantle Oval?
Yeah, terrific. And it just reminded me of what we saw on Sunday at Steel Blue with 7,000 there as well. It just adds to the atmosphere. The players live to the occasion. It's a return to the glory days for the WAFL. It doesn't happen all that often, but I think it's great to get along with your family. It's a bit more relaxed, not so corporate, and the fans love it. If they're given the chance on the right circumstances and they've got some clear air with regards to AFL matches not being scheduled at the same time, then it's proven on big days like that WA Day event. it's worth going to have a look, and it's a fantastic afternoon for all concerned.
7,000 over there at Fremantle Oval that day, and they officially recorded 4,500 at Pentanet Stadium. But from where I was lucky enough to call this game my first WA Day Derby. It looked like 6,000 over there at Joondalup.
Yep, and that's proof that whether it's the Perth Derby or the Freo Derby, both still have a fair bit of attachment. I actually asked someone this morning, Sean Cowan, who's a big West Perth fan, I said, who are you barracking for on Sunday? He goes, I don't know. I can't barrack for East Perth, and I don't want Peel to win. So you West Perth supporters are in a quandary on Sunday.
Oh, I'd have to say, yeah, they didn't do too well, West Perth. They went out in straight sets in the Colts, didn't make it in the reserves, but of course didn't make it in the league. That's the number one moment, and it goes to show, the fans played a really important part. The crowds are up this season, and they witnessed some great action.
Absolutely, and as I said, an even competition is great for all concerned. We look now at the grand final, hopefully 30,000 on the weekend. East Perth, we know they'll have some support there. Peel Thunder, we need their fans to get along. They were there last year. They've been around the mark for a while now, but for East Perth, this is a moment I'm sure lots of Royals fans will be digging out the old scarves and heading across and watching their team hopefully win a flag for the first time in 2 decades.
Fantastic, Skeet. That's the top 10 moments of 2024. Any moments that we missed out on, let us know in the comments below and on our YouTube channel. Be sure to check us out next week when we recap the grand final, and that was the season that was 2024. Thanks for watching.